Hello everyone, my name is Lowko, and today it is time for a professional match of Zerg versus Protoss. Spawning here in the bottom left-hand corner of Turbo Cruise and playing with the blue Zerg drones. He's from Ukraine and he goes by the name of Bly. That rhymed, unintentionally. And his opponent in the opposite corner with the red Protoss probes from France, we're looking inside of the main base of DNS. Alrighty, so Turbo Cruise 84. It's the map with the bubbles right here in the center. These bubbles, for those of you unfamiliar, slow down units when they try to go through them. Interestingly enough, I feel like I have no idea what I'm doing on this map, but somehow, some way, right? After playing a couple hundred ladder games so far in this season, it's actually the map that has my highest win rate. Isn't that strange? I play extremely cautiously on this map, primarily just because I never want to attack, I never want to attack through these bubbles. I pretty much always attack through, the side paths. So say, for example, I would be in the bottom left-hand corner. I would always try and engage with a bit of a sandwich, I suppose, of Zerg units. For some reason, I've got a really good win rate on this map, even though I feel like I'm completely clueless as to how to play it. Not sure how that works. Anyways, here we go. Obviously, the Zerg versus Protoss matchup in the early game, especially if you decide to play the way that Bly has been playing so far, it's very much so focused around the Protoss player dealing some damage. Especially if you see Bly taking a quick third base here. So normally, what we see right now in a lot of standard games is you rally one drone to watch the gas, and then the next drone, yep, that one goes over to watch the third. So this is something that a lot of Zerg players at the highest level have been doing lately. Essentially what this allows you to do is get a really quick third base out while still being safe against the first couple of adepts. The only downside of it is that you take this third base no matter what before you can scout their natural, unless you want to send out a drone scout, but drone scouts are kind of expensive and most Zerg players don't opt to do so. Now apparently, and this is kind of like a fun mechanic here as well, right? It's technically a little greedy to go for the third base, because say for example Protoss is playing one base, you'd be in a world of hurt. However, apparently Bly has sort of accepted his fate, if that were to be the case. He doesn't even really bother scouting right here to the other side of the map to see if there's a natural in the first place as soon as possible. Instead, he's scouting around with the Overlord, trying to figure out if there's any gateways proxied anywhere. And apparently he's sort of crossing his fingers, hoping that DNS isn't gonna go for anything super aggressively. The thing is, though, out of the couple hundred games, right, of Zerg versus Protoss, once again, I play a lot of StarCraft, guys. Out of the couple hundred games that I've seen and played of Zerg versus Protoss where I've gone for this build, I think it's happened one or two times that a Protoss player actually did not open up with a Nexus on the low ground. But they pretty much, in that case, right, they don't open up with one base, but they will open up proxy 4 gate. So it kind of makes sense what Bly is doing here. But anyways, I'm blabbering onwards about very minute details. One of the downsides, though, of going for 3 hatches, that obviously link speed is going to be quite a bit later. This first adept might be able to get a little bit of damage in. Second queen available right now, though. I think it should be enough right here to ward away, at the very least, this first unit. It's taking a bunch of damage, and it will be picked off. Follow-up right here from DNS. We first saw a Twilight Council, now also a Dark Shrine, but more importantly, a robotics facility. So what I think this is going to be is some Dark Templar harass into Archon drops. That's become a very popular opener lately. If you haven't seen professional SC2 in the last half year or so, you may remember that pretty much every single Protoss player out there for the longest time was opening up Stargate. Stargate openers are still common, but not nearly as common as this. This is the new gold standard. I guess it's primarily because Zerg players have gotten really, really good at just simply warding away any kind of Stargate units. I mean, you're gonna get, out of an Oracle, you're gonna get 1 or 2 drone kills, but that's kind of it. And usually that doesn't even happen. If you see someone at the top of the line of Zerg, right? Say, for example, Sarah will play against that, it is just so clean. It's beautiful to watch. The thing is, with these kind of Dark Templar openers, and it did just now get scouted, but you're basically forcing Zerg to either go for Spore Crawlers or a quick lair, which is what Bly is doing here. He's actually going to go for both. So essentially right now, right, the Spores are being forced out and the lair is taken much earlier than you normally would, or earlier than Zerg would like to. So this is already dealing damage before the Dark Templar are even here in the first place. Obviously, you can say the same for the Spore Crawlers that you need to produce against Stargate-based openers, but the thing is, a lot of Zerg players started skipping those out and just went for proper queen positioning instead. Alright, anyways, let's see how this goes. Keep in mind, the lair is not done yet, so no Overseers. If this Spore Crawler falls, wouldn't be surprised if that's going to be the end for this hatchery as well, and there we go. Ooh, those Dark Templar, they wanted to. They really wanted to. Now, actually, there's no Spore inside of the main base. We saw Bly taking One in the natural, one at the third. None in the main so far. Overseer, though, should finish up in just a little bit. And you can see already, right? This is actually, like, significant damage. I mean, I don't think a single Dark Templar is gonna go down. Queen will be picked off, but also a lot of lost mining time. For every second that a drone is not mining here, Bly loses about 1 mineral. And that was like, you know, 14 drones right there and not mining for a little while. That's significant. So, this has sort of become the new standard. Usually it's followed up with a little bit more harassment with Archons and all that. And look at the cost efficiency right here, right? Add to that, like, the lost minerals, and basically, like, 1,000 minerals or so worth of damage has been done here by the Protoss player. Plus, he essentially forced a lot of these units, and I like it. I like it a lot. I think this opener is really good. DNS showcasing some really stellar micro there as well. Trying to damage these units a little bit and just trying to slow down the swarm. Third base has been acquired here by the French Protoss, who's gonna slowly but surely tech up. I like this kind of opener a lot as well, because the Dark Templar, they can be used offensively, like we've been seeing here so far, but they can also be used defensively. Now, DNS apparently goes for the Double Prism. Double Prism is, once again, a new development. This is, like, newer than the Dark Templar opener, though. This is one of those things that a lot of Protoss players have been enjoying quite a bit lately. What's better than 1 prism with 2 Archons? 2 prisms with 2 Archons, right? It just simply makes sense. It's just basic math. Roaches are going to take a little bit of damage. Now, Spire has been made here by Bly, so he's going to be able to get a couple of Mutalisks out. Queen's transfusing these roaches from the high ground. But dude, honestly, I'm very curious, right? I'm a little worried in a way. If we see this going on for like another year or so, right? And we see Protoss players really optimizing the prism control and the amount of value they can get out of it, I feel like the amount of damage they can deal early on is insane, right? Look at this. This has basically been free damage, because Archons are going to be phenomenal in the mid-game army of Protoss as well. Now, the Spire is out. Or is done, rather. 8 Mutas are being created. Let's have a look at the vision right here of a DNS. He didn't see the Spire. So this could actually be a disaster if these prisms get picked off for free. Archons, though, aren't necessarily bad against Mutas. 8 Mutas can pick them up pretty quickly, but you're gonna have to try and spread out the Mutalisk to neglect some of that splash damage. But so far, I'm really liking this position here for DNS, who's just simply building up his influence in this game, slowly but surely, methodically expanding and keeping Bly on his toes, all the while microing pretty much perfectly as well. Now, I've got a feeling that, yeah, this prism over here is not gonna live to tell the tale. Archons do get picked off as well, and the Mutas are gonna, at the very least, deflect this harass here for now. Prism decides to get extra safe, just recalls towards the third base. And this does mean that DNS right now is going to be the one who lost map control. So it's going to be Roaches and Mutas. Actually, we see more and more Mutas coming up here for Bly. Not usually what we see. Keep in mind, there's not a lot of anti-air. I like this, a couple of hallucinated Stalkers. Trying to make this army look more menacing than it actually is. Obviously, there's no Overseer here, because no Scareface was gathered, so you can't really fly it around very easily. A couple of probes are being killed here. Yeah, you know what? Nice little bit of damage. The thing is... this seems like a Bly build. Okay, hold that thought, actually. Nice set of force moves there by DNS. Splitting off these roaches easily and then picking pretty much all of them up for free. Beautiful move there. The thing is... normally when we see Zerg players going for Mutas, they make like one group, right? So maybe 8 Mutalisk. Right now, we already see more Mutas coming up, and we even see the Flyer attack upgrade. What that indicates to me is that Bly probably wants to go for mass Mutalisk, which honestly is not a strategy that I've seen in a very long time. There's a lot of Stalkers out. The weird part is, right, there's this slippery slope. When you try to place mass Muta, on paper kill everything that's not Phoenixes and Storm and Archons, right? If you micro well, you can pick up Stalkers, though, quite easily. There's this weird dynamic between Stalkers and Mutas. Whereas in small numbers, yes, Mutas want to fly away, even if they have larger numbers than the Stalkers have. But if you significantly improve your Muta count, right, you can pick up Stalkers with ease. There's this sweet spot where you can start one-shotting Stalkers with the first set before they bounce, right, before the attacks bounce around. And if that happens, you can deal a lot of damage. Plus, one other upside of Muta play is that, ooh, look at this. This is magic boxing. It's a great little technique. Making the Mutas essentially split out. Archons do a lot of damage in a smaller radius where they hit. So if you were to like hit all of those Mutas, that would be massive. Alright, now I don't think this is critical mass Mutas yet, to be honest. I don't know, man. I don't know if you want to fight that. Alright, so the thing is... nice blink there. The thing is, if you decide to go... a little bit of a Dark Templar counterattack. But if you decide to go for mass Muta, right? There's this sweet spot where, yes, you can start fighting Stalkers quite easily. And yes, you can, you know, magic box over some of those powerful Protoss units as well. However, the ideal way of engaging it that I've found is just to not engage the army. If you see Protoss moving across the map, one of the better ways you can fight them is just by counterattacking. Oftentimes you can kill their base before they can kill yours. I'm not sure about this micro against the Stalkers, to be honest. You can see, like, there's not critical mass yet. The Sentry's actually helping out a lot as well with the Guardian shields. 8 more Mutas coming up. We see finally a double Stargate opener as DNS realizes, wait a second, this is way more Mutas than we normally see. Alright. So I think the best counter for Protoss against mass Muta is probably the Phoenix. So Phoenixes, when you get the upgrade inside of the, not the Fusion Core, the other one, you know what I mean. Once they get the upgrade, they will get additional ranged, and with that, since they can move and shoot at the same time, there it is. The Fleet Beacon, of course, guys, not a Fusion Core, I knew that. Once they get that ranged upgrade called the Anion Pulse Crystals, they can absolutely smash Mutalisks, since they can shoot and move at the same time, and they outrange Mutas significantly. Before that upgrade is done, though, these Mutas can deal a lot of damage. Now, obviously, what this means is that Bly now created a lot of time for himself. I'm curious to see if he's gonna commit to more of this, or if he decides to use this time that he created to maybe go up to, like, Brute Lords, or, you know, even, like, Ultralisk or something, right? Like, Ultras are very interesting switches at this point, because Phoenixes can't lift them up, and essentially what he's doing right now is forcing out a lot of Phoenixes. Cool style. Very Bly-like game. Once again, the Muta showed themselves. They're like, hey, guys, we're still here. Still growing in numbers. Yeah, Infestation Pit is coming up. All right. Actually, getting the Cyber Core is a pain. Removing the Cyber Core is really annoying for Protoss. So DNS right now is not going to be able to get himself air weapon upgrades, but he also can't warp in any Stalkers until he remakes the Cyber. So that one is going to go up in the main base. Pulse Crystals upgrade is coming up right now. I feel like this 4th base, though, needs to be cancelled. Like, if this 4th base lives, DNS can build up his air weapons really nicely. And yeah, I love that positioning there by DNS. Really well done. Honestly, like, a lot of Protoss players at this point would panic, right? It's a difficult decision to make. How much do you want to split up? Like, how many units do you want to keep around to try and fight those Mutas? And how much do you want to keep around to try and keep your base alive? It's a very slippery slope. And yes, he's losing probes, but it's only 9 in total. You know what? I don't mind it whatsoever. And there we go. Anion Pulse Crystals is done. Look at the beautiful purple beams. Pink, purple. I don't know what color that is. At the same time, though, the Roaches and Zerglings decide to move forward, realizing that these Mutalisks are on a timer. That apparently means that Bly wants to try and fight this. He's actually trying to hunt down as many of these Phoenixes as he can with the Mutalisk. Roaches, though, essentially now sacrificing themselves. Most of the Phoenixes are gone, but 2 more are being produced. Although 19 Mutalisks are coming out right now. Dude, Bly's going all out. I think he plans on just piling on the pressure and then overwhelming this Protoss. Love the photon cannons, though. The photon cannons are such a big deal. Okay. So, rather than transitioning out of this, Bly is doubling down. He's like, you know what? Yeah, Protoss, you can take a 4th base. I'll just go ahead and take a 5th and a 6th. I'll just take my bases all over the map, and I'm gonna be able to mine so much more gas than you. I'm gonna be able to get so much more income than you, that I'm gonna be able to smash you in the long run. Alright, Viper's coming up. Ooh, dude, okay. I was gonna say, that's a cool idea. Vipers are really kind of interesting. I've not seen that before. So 2 Infestors, 2 Vipers. If you get 1 Fungal Growth on Phoenixes, that's it. If you get 1 Parasitic Bomb on Phoenixes, that's also it. I've not seen this before. I mean, this used to be a standard for a little while. There's a little bit of a Spine Forest. This used to be a standard for a little while. Max out on Mutalisk, then get yourself a Spine Crawler Forest, and then counterattack with the Mutalisk. This was standard in, like, I don't know, 2012, 2013. That's before they added on the Anion Pulse Crystals, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a long time. Since you obviously need a lot of gas to make Mutas, you save up a lot of minerals. And you spend all of your minerals on just a heck of a lot of those units. Well, there we go. Big fungal growth, shutting down at least some of that ground army. Still, though, that Archel on the ground dealing a lot of damage, right? Dealing a lot of splash. And, well, I think at the very least, DNS is gonna have to engage this on top of the spine crawlers if he wants to fight it. Parasitic Bomb, quite useful there. Good splits though by DNS, who now also brought a Prism along, very critical. I think this base is going to be in a little bit of trouble, and with that, the one over here as well. I don't know if that one's scouted. No, he is aware of that, so that's rather painful. I actually think if Bly would have added on, like, an additional 20 spine crawlers and set up, like, all of them over here and over there, right? And then counterattack with the Mutas, he would have had a lot of potential to kill this Protoss player's main natural and maybe even the third before really DNS could break through. And if DNS decides to commit, it's a very difficult decision to make because you run into so many issues, right? But it's a cool style. I really like this. I want to give this a try. I want to go on the ladder and give this a try myself. And fail miserably against Phoenixes probably, but still like it. It's still really cool. All right. Now, there's a couple ways you can deal with Phoenixes. One of them, like I mentioned earlier, is Ultralisk. One of them is Vipers. One of them is Infestors. Another one, though, is Corruptors. Corruptors have a lot more armor than Mutas. They're just simply much beefier, and they can fight these Phoenixes quite easily, but I think the age of the Muta is at an end. Broodlords are going to be the name of the game now. I've been focusing in this game a lot, by the way, on, on this Zerg player. Yeah, it's mostly because DNS is playing a relatively standard game. So I guess it's fair, right? To hype up the Zerg a little bit more than the Protoss. All kidding aside, though, I think that DNS is in a wonderful spot. He's been doing a really good job holding on. Yes, he's lost a lot of probes, and yes, he's been in a lot of trouble, but he's been making the best of a really tricky scenario. He's thinking on his feet, and he's doing a great job just simply dealing with the different kinds of units that Zerg is throwing out there. At this point, though, I was going to say, there's not really much of a counter to the Greater Spire units, but the Greater Spire is gone, so yeah, there's eight Brute Lords, but that's going to be the name of the game for now. I don't mind this, though, right? Once again, good fungal growth. Really well done. Last Muta in the main base does get picked off. You know what? I actually like the Brute Lord switch a lot here. I mean, Phoenixes are not good against Brute Lords. Like, not whatsoever. They're good against Mutas, but that's about it, right? They're good at harassment, they're good at fighting Mutalisks, but they're really not good at fighting the Zerg late-game army. There's not a lot of anti-air. It's primarily just the Queens, I guess, for now, which is another interesting choice. Dude, I really like the way that Bly is playing this. Super cool. Also, gotta compliment his creep spread. It's literally at the natural of the Protoss. Finally, we see the Psionic Storm upgrade. I think, right? Get it. I think it's really important, DNS. Adding on a couple of High Templar would be really nice. Having that sustained damage is a big deal. All right, well, oh my god, there's a flock of, there's a flock of Overlords here. I actually kind of think he needs to go for the Overlords. I mean, yeah, picking up drones is nice too. Yeah, okay. I always kind of feel like past the, I don't know, 10-minute mark, drones can be remade so easily. Then again, both players actually had a relatively low eco. Roach Ravageable, getting a bunch of damage in. Yoink right there with the Viper on another Immortal. And that means that these Roaches are getting more and more valuable. What a game. Man. This just shows you, though, the amount of potential that there still is, right? Yes, early game is kind of figured out at this point. But then early mid game is right when you add on the Spire, right? There's still a lot of potential. I would love to see how Mass Muta works out. Mass Muta, Spinecrawler Forest, see how that plays. I would love to see how, I don't know, 30 Mutalisk into quick Brute Lords works, right? You basically force your opponent to make Phoenixes at that point. What if you then decide to go for really quick Brute Lords? What about Ultralisk? What about, like, a Roach timing attack and preventing Protoss from getting a 4th base up and just sort of bleeding them dry above? Like, putting more and more Mutas to the task. I don't know, there's a lot of potential there. Really cool stuff. It's awkward as well, because DNS has a lot of army supply right now caught up against a late-game Zerg army that's mostly based around Stalkers. Stalkers have this weird moment where they kind of seem to fall off. I think actually, yeah, replacing them with more and more of these carriers and then more and more Tempest would certainly be the correct choice. There's even a mothership right now coming up here for DNS. If you get a couple... did he get himself... No, he didn't even get it. I think he could add in a couple of High Templar as well with Psionic Storm, and this would be significantly better. I've not really seen a late-game Protoss army without Psionic Storm. The thing is, all of these other units, like the Mothership and then also the Carrier and then the Tempest, they all get countered really nicely with just Corruptors or Infestors. You get that really beautiful sustained damage when you add a couple of the High Templar into their mix as well. So I don't think that's a bad idea. Instead, well, DNS apparently knows better than me. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, he's the pro gamer after all. He decides to add on 2 more Stargates. So this is gonna be a full-on air assault here from DNS. He's like, you know what? You wanted to play air? You wanted to play air, you puny little Zerg? I'll show you what the Golden Armada looks like. You wanted to make Mutalisks? Fine. I'll get a floating city. I mean, it takes about 4.5 years to produce and it might get abducted, but still. Might even be neuroparasited, as that upgrade is right now finishing up as well. Good cancel right there by Bly. Last couple or last possible second there. Couple of zealots. Trying to stay in the corner. Trying to see if another hatchery will go down. The cheeky little zealots. Look at them. They're waiting. They're waiting. Oh my god. This is gonna be the poorest hatchery ever. Big Roach counterattack. Trying its very best to get a little bit of damage in. Not quite gonna be the case. By the way, the base over here in the bottom right-hand corner that was previously mining by Bly. By the way, the hatch does get killed. Or Bly rather was mining this base earlier. It's now being gathered by the Protoss. And even though I kind of feel like these Stalkers are not that good of a late game unit, with +3 attack weapons, they certainly can dash across the map and kill bases real fast. Alright, so I think this composition here for Bly is gonna be Corruptor, Viper, Infestor, Broodlord. That seems to be what he's going for. Whereas DNS is just going for that super late game Protoss Death Ball. I feel like High Templar would be a really good mix here, guys. High Templar just simply provides so much damage. Have you ever seen a Protoss unit composition that's made weaker without Sonic Storm? I mean, unless you YOLO the High Templar forward and they don't get any damage in. I really feel like they're phenomenal units. One cool thing about this as well, though, is that normally when we see the Broodlord switch, it's gonna be like +1 air weapons at best, right? Bly right now is getting +3 already. It's gonna make these Broodlords quite a bit tankier. Does he have any armor upgrades? He actually also has +1 armor. Really nice. I want to see how this plays out. And we're gonna find out together. Yeah, okay. Stalkers have been brave for a little while, but I think they're not gonna be able to fight this army over here. This does mean, though, that the entirety of the Zerg army is caught in the bottom right-hand corner. Don't know if you want to have that. Yeah, there we go. The Protoss army. The Golden Armada. I mean, this is like version 0.1, right? It's like the beta version of the Golden Armada. It's moving forward. No observer? Ooh, no observer? Brave Protoss. You know that the Infestors can tunnel underground, right? You know that they can neuroparasite while underground, right? Ooh, that was a gamble. You know what? I kind of feel like DNS is playing with fire here. Not mixing in High Templar, not mixing in Observers. Very big risk. I mean, that entire army could have been neuroparasited. Didn't happen this time around. Can guarantee you, though, if you make that kind of mistake against Cyril, he's gonna abuse it real fast. Oh, there we go. Abduct on the mothership. And look at that. Have you ever seen a Zerg army that's cloaked? Isn't that amazing? If you get the neuroparasite down, you can indeed go ahead and pick it off, but also cloak your own army. The mothership did get picked off. Immediately a new one is being made. That's 400 if I'm not mistaken. Most expensive unit in the game. Very, very pricey. And it really did not get anything done there for DNS so far. So good pick up by Bly. I'm curious though about the units lost. And yeah, that Muta count from earlier, that is painful. 67 Mutalisks have gone down in this game. That's a very, very expensive army to lose. And you can see that in combination with obviously the other units as well. It really does not put Bly in a cost-efficient moment here. Only 40 workers, by the way, remain here for the Zerg. DNS, though, building up the Death Bowl, right? He's currently at 192 supply. I think he's waiting for the mothership to be out to actually move. Why would you not add on a High Templar right now? Do you think it's... Maybe he assumes it's too expensive. I think he probably could have had the value for it, honestly. What are the melee upgrades at? +2? Did not... Oh yeah, he did get Adrenal Glands as well. So actually these Zerglings are going to be pretty good. But I love the one Dark Templar in the mix. Still means though most of the probes will go down. At the same time, those Stalkers that are called not so very good from earlier once again kill the base. So I guess I'm going to have to eat my words there. Dude, this base would have been dead if it wasn't for this one Dark Templar. 10 confirmed kills on that one. One fungal growth on these Stalkers though. Ooh, and it's done. Not gonna happen this time. Not a big one at least. Okay, Nexus is cancelled. Zerglings going back in, trying to see if they can kill that base. More Vipers are being added on as well. What this is leading up to is one big clash, right? Both players are gonna clash once, and that's gonna be that. Oh my god, this one hero, Dark Templar, look at it. It's now got 16 confirmed kills, plus it keeps the base alive. What a beast. Warped in right there together with his Zealots, the Zealot buddies. All ended up dying. Dark Templar, though, just fine. I think that DNS may be assuming that Bly has much better economy. I don't know if he realizes how much damage he's actually done. Maybe he's assuming that Zerg is sitting on like 70 plus workers, which is why he's playing so cautiously. I don't think, okay, once again, dude, the Stalker army. The Stalkers are doing such a good job. Ooh. Sorry, apparently there was a little bit of a pause there. Bly says, sorry, huge mosquito was flying by. Well, hey, that would make me freak out as well, okay? Even though he's controlling the bugs himself. You don't want to have the IRL bugs. You know, the IRL swarm dealing the damage to you in real life, okay? That hurts. Couple of infestors moving forward. I think that base might actually be dead. Keep in mind, though, these Stalkers are not cheap. Like, this is not an army you want to give up for free. Most of the Zerg army is waiting right here. Oh, we see a big recall. An offensive recall towards the mothership. Stalkers join the fray here as well, and that means that the Zerg army is going to have to fight a really scary Protoss one. Nice parasitic bomb is going to actually soften up a lot of these Stalkers. Or a lot of these air units, rather. As the Phoenix flies straight through all of the carriers. Once again, though, ooh, abduct right there on the mothership. Queen's out of position. A little bit of miscontrol right here by the Zerg. And his defense, though, is a very tricky unit composition to micro. The carrier bull, very, very solid so far. And I'm looking at this, right? And I'm not entirely sure if there is enough anti-air here for the swarm. Bly did, yes, get a lot of his supply caught up in Brute Lords. And yes, they're phenomenal against ground. But honestly, the main threat in this army is the air unit, right? These carriers are not to be underestimated. Couple of the what are they called? Interceptors did get killed. So they're gonna be recreated right now. They take much longer than they did once upon a time. Carriers, widely considered to be one of the weakest units that Protoss has. Certainly, though, can still provide that massive tempo advantage, right? Once you get a favorable trait, you can continue fighting. They will build the interceptors right where they are. And oftentimes, it's difficult to get the army back together. Bly does not have that big bank, which I think DNS is assuming he does have. He's running out of minerals, but also running out of gas. And that means he's mostly just gonna make Zerglings here, and then I guess a couple of Corruptors. Infested Terrans are the go-to answer, generally speaking, against Interceptors. The Corruptors are really, really good when it comes to fighting the carriers themselves. The thing is, sometimes StarCraft 2 is just a numbers game, right? And even though I love the opener here that Bly went for, I think in the grand scheme of things, his late-game army composition is just not powerful enough. DNS has been fighting this slowly, but very methodically. He's been picking the Zerg player apart everywhere, building up towards his maxed out unit composition. And apparently it's gonna be mostly these capital ships up in the air. DNS has been expanding all over the place on the back of this as well, not really allowing this advantage he created for himself to slip out of his fingers. And while I love the way that Bly was playing, I think, yeah, in the ultra late game, the Protoss army is just so much more powerful. I mean, you can certainly make an army composition that is going to be able to withstand that as well. But usually you're going to need a bunch of spore crawlers. You're going to need a lot more infestors than he had right there. And you're going to have to fight in a favorable position. I love what DNS did there. Picked up the base and then used the mass recall that's available on the mothership to teleport the Stalkers towards the mothership and then to fight. And I think that's not really the engagement that Bly expected. Beautiful moves there by DNS. Love the strat of Bly. Sadly, didn't work out this time around, but DNS certainly showed us how to deal with mass mutas very, very cautiously. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below. And if you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get a notification as soon as I upload more. A special shout out to the Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. Thank you very much for your generosity. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile alright, and I will see you once again in the next one.